broke. Or dead broke as they call it, because in this world, you might as well just go give up and die. See, inevitably at some stage, sooner or later over the course of picking and eating your boogers, every kid comes to the realization that that's about the only free lunch that they're ever gonna get. Because everything in life is gonna cost you some money. There's really no escaping it. Hell, I mean, I said that you could just die, but even dying does. A grave, a reception, a weird old man who gets to do whatever he wants to your body for 48 hours post-mortem. For whatever reason, I'm not really sure why, but you're not allowed to put in your will that you'd rather just be thrown in whatever manhole, body of water, dumpster down an alleyway, you know, whatever's in the vicinity when you do happen to go. That's just not how things work in the real world, you know, for better or for worse. That weird old dude is gonna have to get his grubby hands on you, and so while you're alive, it's up to you to make money, and as much of it as damn possible. If you have been keeping up with my past few videos, you may have very well noticed how I got myself a new camera recently. And no, I did not do this for the shit or the giggles of doing so, but because I had to, because I managed to break my old one. Which very well may have you wondering how any of this could have possibly been poor mine's fault. What part could I have fathomably played in all of that? In my own monetary demise? Well, see, it was my dumbass who put this heavy dumb brick of a thing, decked out with some unnecessarily integral and fragile dumb steady shot hocus pocus, on top of this broken tripod, and then proceeded to dance and prance around my room making some dumb skit that wasn't even all that funny in the first place, until it slammed smack down on the ground like its name was Nigel Houston. And yes, I know the dumb tripod was broken beforehand, but what I clearly wasn't thinking about in the moment was how a proper tripod costs about 100 million, the price of what a new camera does. So can you really blame me? Well, at least the short answer is yes, yeah, you can. In all of that, I still managed to be the biggest dumb fuck of all. And it's exactly because of all of that that I had to scrape the rest of my savings together in order to buy myself a whole stankin' new one. And a new tripod anyways. Which means that for the first time in my adult life, I am officially, like, totally broke. But also in 4K, so you know. But it's not like it's the end of the world for me. See, if there's one thing I do know, it's being pretty damn broke. It's really second nature to me at this point, and I'd say I'm pretty good at it too. At this point in my life, I know how to stretch my dollar as much as damn possible. And by that, what I primarily mean is not actually spending at all when I do spend it. See, buying without necessarily spending was for many years my forte. And you know, I know that all these supermarkets think that they're getting slick to the ways of a fiending teen who refuses to get a job, but that will never be the case. If they're under the presumption that a couple additional roadblocks or obstacles would have ever gotten 16-year-old me to fork over my money for miscellaneous purposes to a goddamn robot, like what the hell would he possibly have to do with it anyway? Being a computer with the sole purpose of being a cheap alternative to having to hire any actual people doesn't cost him a dime. But you know, as the 21-year-old old man child that I am nowadays, however, you know, on the other hand, listen, I don't know what it is exactly, but at some stage or another, you just get tired of the run. The system gets to you or something. I guess maybe I'm just trying to keep that record clean now that it actually sort of matters to me in some way. Well, I could say all of that, but really the situation is much simpler. Sure, shoplifting is cute when you're like 14. You know, you have a fun time and you make a 40-year-old immigrant arch nemesis, but you can't keep that up forever. Sooner or later, as you grow up, you realize that certain things are socially unacceptable, not because they're in any way actually morally wrong, but because they're more just sexually unappealing. And really, nothing screams that like running away from an Indian old head over a cinnamon bun. But don't get me wrong, it's not even as if I need to be any sort of super mega stuck rich anytime soon. I consider myself far too humble of a hippie at heart for anything like that. I don't even necessarily want to be wealthy, you know? Because wealthy folk are so damn weird to me anyways. I don't give a damn about any sort of fancy watch or pair of chinos. And in all honesty, it just sounds so superficial to me. Preferably, yeah, I'd be filthy rich, but that's different though. Well, only sorta. I guess I am actually just as superficial as anyone else. But just that rich people culture in general will be something that forever eludes me. Nothing about it is exciting to me, and to be honest, it really doesn't even make sense. Like, what the hell could possibly be the point of making all the money that you could ever have dreamed of making just to go and spend it on some dumb luxury lifestyle anyways? Just to go and buy exactly what every commercial ever has always told you to, and give all that money right back to them. The only point I could ever see in having that damn much money is so that nobody could ever tell me what to do ever again. And also, like, infinite blowing hookers, obviously. Hey, you, it's my imaginary millions, and you don't get to tell me an imaginary thing about it. But for now, at least, I guess emo lady boys and talc powder will have to do. So yeah, it's tough, all things considered. Like, I'm currently at that awkward intermediary phase of life where I'm way too old to be shoplifting anymore, but still far too young to take that natural next step into financial fraud. Like, naturally, because things actually cost me money these days, ideally I'd just be able to like scam old people out of their retirement savings or whatever with tax loopholes and a hell of a Sigma grind set until no amount of money would ever matter to me again, because that would be somebody else's problem now. Which, don't get me wrong, is still absolutely the long-term plan. I mean, come on, I'm white. But I'm still a ways off of getting down how to tie a tie, and so here I am, stuck in a world without any decent sucking lips, and we're going outside cost you a good 30 smackaroos, which I wasn't planning on doing anytime soon, but the point still stands. What I'm trying to say is that I'm dead broke, and for the first time in my life that actually sort of matters to me. And it's really not a great time to be neither, all things considered. Like, that going outside cost 30 quid joke, like, that's just one of those small talk throwaway quips that people used to say in sort of a silly kind of a way that day by day becomes less funny and more of the sort of thing that I'd mention in a suicide note. It's really beginning to seem as though the entirety of the world is going broke these days. Well, at least all 100% biologically humanoid that's left among us. Like, for example, I know exactly 0 people my age in my city right now living outside of their mama's nest. The house that they were conceived in. And it's not necessarily like any of us are particularly happy about it neither. It's just the damn reality of Big 26 life. No, it's not ideal. Like, I don't want to have to be reminded of all the boys that I lost back in Lefty each and every time I go down the hall to use the bathroom. But how can I not when the damn Netanyahu of my mama's poo-tang is sleeping in the room right next to mine? It's a shame that it would cost me my own damn Lefty to literally sleep anywhere else. That right there was a joke that I'm sure I thought was hilarious when I wrote it, but now that I've had to say it out loud, I can almost taste how terrible of a sentence that was on my tongue. These videos really are that god-awful, huh? But anyways, that sentiment, that goes for all of us, not just me. Yeah, I might be dead broke and whatever, but no matter how much money you make, sorry buddy, but there is no escaping this inflation. Hell, I might even have to raise a couple lefties of my own right here in this very room. Yeah, okay, maybe it sort of was a sign to stop with this. But anyways, the point is, like most of you, I am way too broke for this life. And you know, like any change in life, it took me quite a while to come to terms with my new set of circumstances. After all, you're naturally gonna go through the 5 steps of going through pretty much anything when you start to go through it. You get what I mean, the 5 psychological stages that come one after another as you learn to accept the ways in which your life sucks a little bit more now. Really, what I mean is that scientifically, after you go broke, you're inevitably gonna feel, first and foremost, denial. That means doing anything and everything to distract from the moment when you look in your bank account and see what you feared most. A moment that only came for me because in fear of seeing what I've already spent, I kept on spending on any sort of distraction I possibly could to distract myself from my own spending until the fatal moment when your card declines and you realize that you can't just keep spending. And then naturally as that settles, it does so into anger. Of course, after realizing that you just spent your final fiver on a double Snickers that is about the exact same size as a normal Snickers used to be, your brain, unable to comprehend the role you may have played in all this, comes to the next best conclusion that any broke college kid could possibly take away from all this. Maybe we should just give communism one last go. Which is of course swiftly followed by depression. As anger quickly dwindles, when you can't for the life of you find the energy to plot a revolution, knowing you can't afford it anyways. Hell, unable to afford all the finest dopamine distractions, which carried you through your day by day, all that's left is for you to curl up into a ball. As your day by day becomes one vague blur of unskippable ads, air fryer dinners for breakfast and lunch but not for dinner because you can no longer afford that third meal, 8-ball pool cause real pool costs real money to play, and unfortunately forcing yourself to enjoy the simple things in life. That's right, you've officially hit rock bottom. And so desperate for a solution to all that comes bargaining, which typically comes in the form of, well, bargaining. How much for this fine piece of fruit right here? That'd be 40 cents, sir. How about 20? Are you seriously trying to negotiate with me over the price of a banana right now? 30? I don't know what to tell you, kid. It's 40 cents? Yeah, well, I didn't even have any money anyway, so... Well, then you can't have it, I guess. Well played, my friend. Well played. Which all inevitably comes to a halt at acceptance. When you stop caring about how it looks to anyone else and embrace your inner Diogenes. So yes, it took you some time to get used to your new life. Maybe it really isn't so bad after all, and maybe that even still you can still manage to manage. Hell, maybe you could even get used to it. Used to it. In you go. Come on. Alright. What the fuck? Ooh, my bad. You weren't already living in here, were you? No, I mean, like, what are you doing in my washing machine? Washing machine? This is my house. Tomato. Bro, get the fuck out of my damn washroom.
Come on, man. You gotta let me stay here for at least a while. Look, it's literally got everything I could ever need. I can wash my clothes. I can wash myself. Even got these little blue things to munch on. I mean, there's no way these aren't nutritious. And look, I just about have the space for this little house plant.
Holy balls, have you been eating those? Whatever, just please leave now.
Alright, so which one of you lives at this address?
That'd be me.
Your mail, sir.
Great, thank you. You have a good one now.
What is actually going on right now?
Oh yeah, what? Like you've never seen a postman before? You're not a postman, are you? You're living in the dryer, aren't you? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna need you both to get the fuck. Yeah, okay, maybe not that used to it, but even still. See, this whole being broke thing isn't so bad in actual fact. It's really not the all negatives that society pretends it to be. And you know what? Maybe it's because I still live with my parents, or because the whole rest of the world still lives with their parents. But in my opinion, there are still some benefits to being broke. And because that state of obvious delusion has helped me come to terms with my own brokenness, I thought that I could share with the rest of you nest dwellers what are exactly the benefits of being broke. Before we even think about anything beyond the pure money aspect itself, you can't deny that it definitely makes you better with money in the first place. After all, not spending is the first step to saving, which is the first step to having money to spend. You see what I'm getting at here? It's just basic finance. But if you always had the money, then what would you have ever had to learn about budgeting? When would you ever have to learn about the real value of currency? Face it, rich people are nothing but your average bum with their rags from Persia and their roadkill served on golden china. You can't tell me that there's much of a difference between anyone who sits around all day doing not a damn thing but eating frog and pigeon anyway. There's really not much of a difference between a snob and a bum. If you think about it, snobs are only really like one good Wall Street crash from being any other useless drug addict you'd find under a bridge. And hell, who even likes to spend all that much in the first place? And no matter how much money you got, we both know that you still feel it in your heart every time you gotta put your little pocket robot up to the money robot, and it makes that silly sound that means that you have no clue exactly how much money you're after spending because of the lack of any sort of physical conceptualization to your money in the 21st century. No matter how much you got, all you know is that you have less now. And that's a terrible feeling for just about everyone everywhere. It's just basic human psychology is all. But when you've got no money to go about spending anyways, hell, at least you don't have to worry about that. Not to mention how I kinda even like the limitations psychologically. Well, like is a strong word, but I guess you could say that I need them. Because bad decisions are way easier to make when you can actually afford them. Man, like the other night, for example, I literally just made a cup of tea and read a book and went to bed. Like it was the damn 60s or something. I don't even think that my brain and body were able to handle this system shock. That all it could do was collapse into some of the most relaxing sleep I've had ever, I guess. Let's be real, it's pretty easy to be a good person when you've got a house and food and not much money for much else. Evidently so, it's so, like, way easier to be a good person when you haven't sold your soul to the god of child sacrifice for temporary and superficial riches in this life, subjecting your soul to the torment of ultimate sin. So, you know, that's a plus. And listen, alright, I know how you're probably thinking some bullshit like how this is bullshit. They'd still rather be rich, and guess what, buddy? Me too. But I'm not, and I'm kinda hoping that you aren't also, which is nothing personal, I just hate you boners. This video isn't about me trying to say that I'd rather be a broke ass who can't afford enough beer to make buying beer worth buying in the first place, but just that, you know what, I've learned how to embrace my new lifestyle of only ever drinking beer from a can outside in the cold, and there are benefits to that. What exactly are the benefits, you may be asking? Well hey, at least my beer is always gonna stay cold too. Just to go and spend it on some dumb luxury lifestyle anyway.